It's incredible to be a part of this, just to be here. Give yourselves a round of applause. How exciting is this, just to come out in the middle of this, I think the weather's appropriate, because that's kind of how the country feels right now, right? It's just all-out chaos, so this is exciting. I'm going to try and, I don't know, some of you may have seen my act before. Occasionally I use a bad word, and I'm going to try and clean it up a little, but I also saw that one of Dr. Stein's commercials had the word bullshit in it, so I think I'm okay. I think that was the first presidential candidate to have that in a commercial. But it makes sense. You look at what's going on in the country, and it's hard to watch what's going on without going, shit. Like, it's very hard. It's incredible. I mean, you know, you watch, and you got the two corporate candidates that you're allowed to watch on TV. Those are the only two that apparently exist according to the mainstream media. And you watch it, and you watch this whole process that's been going on for about 7-8 years now, this election, or at least it seems like it, doesn't it? And you watch it, and you just, like, it's just mind-blowing. It's insane. This gaggle of bobble-headed giggle shits that are running for office, and you look at them, and you're like, there's nothing else. There's no one. I mean, we have like, you know, 400 brands of toothbrush and like 4 dimensions in the world. I mean, in the universe, and yet apparently only 2 political parties. That's it. I saw a book once that had 435 sexual positions, but 2 political parties. That's it. That's all we're allowed to look at or see. And so it's important to open up the discussion. I mean, you know, between the 2 parties that they talk about on the mainstream media every day, you have one side that essentially thinks climate change doesn't exist, and then you have the Republicans. Like, it's just, right? It's just mind-blowing. And they're also, you know, they're hardly talking about Wall Street or regulating Wall Street. 2008 was the largest crime this country's ever seen, and no one's gone to jail for it. No one. People should have been lit on fire in Times Square. And no one would have complained. Animal rights activists would have been like, yeah, light them up, good call. No one would have complained. Billionaires now, billionaires. The 6 heirs to the Walmart fortune have the same amount of wealth as the bottom 40% of the country. Like, and you don't have to be a genius to realize that top-heavy things collapse. That's how it works. All you have to do is picture Philip Seymour Hoffman riding on the shoulders of Natalie Portman. It doesn't last long, you know? So they're richer than they've ever been. They're billionaires, and now they're going after, like, teacher benefits. Like, really? Teachers are heroes. Teachers deal with those little shitheads all day long, and they get paid less than the guy at the zoo in charge of making sure the hippos mate. Like, really? And a fair wage should be the easiest to pay in the world. I don't care if you're the worst. I don't care if you're the worst job. I don't care if your job is cleaning up turds out of the corner of the turd factory. If you work full time, you should be able to feed and clothe your kids. First of all, it's a moral thing to do. And secondly, with the size of our kids, none of us want to see them half clothed. None of us want to see a 10-year-old boy's breasts bouncing up and down on a sweaty summer day. Can't we get together as a people and buy that boy some nipple tassels? You know? Can't we do that? Oh, it's insane, and they're, you know, and they're going after, the billionaires are going after unions too, which unions have some problems like any large entities, but unions are also responsible for tiny, forgettable things like a weekend, and a 9 to 5 if you got it, and healthcare if you got it, and getting children out of the workplace alone was crucial because they're crappy workers. They don't know what they're doing. They're hitting all kinds of buttons on the factory floor, lopping dudes' arms off. You're like, what do you mean, whoopsie? You've worked here 4 years. Since you were 3, you should have this stuff down by now, right? And so it's just this corporate pillaging of the world that it seems like we've all just accepted, like it's a Black Eyed Peas song, you know? They're like, well, it's gonna be around for a while. Might as well pretend like I like it. What choice do I have? Resistance is futile. So you got to stand up against it, you know, and then there's the environment, which it doesn't even get talked about in the debates, it seems, and climate change. Climate change, like, It's amazing how no matter how close they say the major effects of climate change are, people don't seem to change. The Republicans, Democrats don't seem to talk about it. Because like 100 years ago, they were like, like 10 years ago, they were like, it's 100 years away. We are screwed in 100 years. And everyone was like, well, I personally will be dead by then. Then they were like, we're wrong, it's 20 years away. And everyone's like, we'll invent giant air conditioners by then. Now they're like, people in California are on fire. And everyone's like, they probably live in a really fiery area. They're probably storing dry stuff in their homes, like old magazines, you know. Don't come banging on my door every time some little crap goes down. Oh, Indonesia's underwater. Well, tell them to get up and move to Outernesia. Really? Just because their little country goes underwater, I gotta stop using plastic bags? And while we're on the topic, do we have to watch every polar bear drift out to sea on a damn ice cube? The dumb animals, move south, you idiots. They can't figure out a game plan the birds figured out. Follow the geese, Magellan. Jeez, you could be in Hawaii right now eating beautiful women with coconuts on their chests. And that's a well-rounded meal. That's meat and fruit on the same plate. You know? Thank you, Lone Clapper. Thank you very much. One person came along for the applause break. I like it. She was like, okay, we're not doing that. All right. So yeah, so you know, that's what's important about the Green Party. Is talking about the environment is like really, it's not allowed to be talked about in the debates or anything else. And like, I mean, here's a good example. Is like of how well we're doing on this. In 2004, I guess they passed the Clean Water Act, or they changed it and passed. This came out like a year ago or something, a while ago. Since then, it's been violated 500,000 times by companies and factories, meaning we know who they are. We know who's dumping carcinogens in our water. And what do you do when a friend or family member gets cancer? You run the 5K, you wear the pink ribbons, and I'm not going to take that away. I just think we should run the 5K to the factory where they're dumping the crap in the water. Take all the pink ribbons, use those to tie up the CEO, then take all the change we made in the breast cancer awareness bake sale, put it in the end of a sock, and beat the crap out of the guy, right? You know, nothing excessive. Each of the 5,000 participants would get only one swing of the sock. Nothing excessive. Because we don't think about this stuff, you know, and the amount of garbage and pollution we're creating. And part of the reason that we're creating so much pollution is that our stuff that we it's designed to fail. It's designed to go obsolete. You get a cell phone, and 3 weeks later, it's in the Amish Museum of Antiquities. You know, and this has even changed since I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, my grandmother would pull me aside and be like, "See this hutch? Your great-grandfather built this hutch 130 years ago, and your grandfather was born inside this hutch, and your father once fornicated with this hutch, and one day this will be your hutch. You might want to wash it first." But now you buy something at IKEA, it's made from cardboard, scotch tape, and hope, and then like 6 weeks later it explodes into 1,000 pieces, and the pieces turn to dust and blow away like a bad guy at the end of an Indiana Jones film. So we end up with just immense piles of garbage. There's a patch of plastic floating around the Pacific the size of Texas, and it's got a higher IQ too, and it's just floating around on the Pacific. So we got to think about this stuff. And, you know, the environment, and of course the war, the war in Afghanistan that's been going on forever and that it isn't even talked about. Apparently war now is like a bad haircut. For a week, you're like, this is awful. And then you're like, whatever, it'll work out. I mean, it's insane. It came out 3 years ago that we're funding both sides of the war in Afghanistan. We're paying the Taliban to let our trucks through so that we can fight the Taliban. We're losing a game of solitaire. Really, we're playing a game of Twister alone. No wonder a scrappy group of insurgents in torn clothes and sandals are able to compete with the most powerful military in the world. They have us on their side. That's how they're doing it. However, to the credit of Obama and the Pentagon, they recently realized that too many civilians were dying from the drone aircraft attack. So they did something about it. They changed the definition of the word civilian. And you tell that to anyone with an intellect above that of an eggplant parmesan, and they're like, you can't just change the definition of a word. But no, if you're president, you can. You can just walk around being like, lunch is now dinner, and dinner's now breakfast, and a premature ejaculation is now a just right ejaculation. You can just run around doing that, you know? But here's the thing, though. So they changed it so that anyone in a target area of military age is a combatant. You don't even have to know you're fighting. You get to be a 95-year-old trying to figure out how to put falafel in your mouth, and you're a combatant. But that means it also applies to us. It's a word. Civilian. It's a word, so it applies to us. So if you're at an airport by a Marine who's got the semi-automatic on his chest, you're now a combatant. You thought you were just an accountant, you know, sitting at Cinnabon, working on Cinnabon number 2 and love handle number 7. But no, you're a warrior getting ready to wage battle with your Cinnabon of glory. Really, it's insane what's going on over there. And of course, we'll give away all our rights to be protected from terrorism. Anything to be protected from terrorism. But twice as many Americans die each year from peanut allergies as from terrorism. So you see where I'm going with this. We need to work equally hard to protect ourselves from peanuts, all right? We need a peanut alert chart. If someone leaves a bag of peanuts unattended, we got to blow that shit up. We do. We need to drop Marines into the planter's compound to shoot Mr. Peanut in the face, all right? And that goes, too, for anyone who wants to wear a monocle or a top hat, all right? You want to dress like a peanut, we will treat you like a peanut. All right? No, but the truth is, the reason we're here is because people are getting sick of this shit. People are tired of it. In an overall sense, I think people are tired of greed over good, of profitable pollution over people, of war for wealth, over the welfare of average citizens. People are tired of this shit, and people are standing up in a lot of different ways. This is, in my opinion, you know, and I'll let Dr. Stein speak for herself, but in my opinion, this is one part of an important revolution, a mental revolution of people changing, all right? Whether it's Occupy, whether it's the Indignados in Spain, whether it's the students in Quebec, it's a mental revolution. It's a change, and it's not going to be stopped by police barricades or, you know, pepper spray. Pepper spraying us is like throwing water on gremlins. The more you do it, the more show up. You know, this is a mental revolution. And people, they attack it in the media by saying things like, oh, it's only young people that care about this stuff. It's only young people standing up like that. First of all, it's not. But secondly, even if it were, who should give a shit about this stuff? Who has to sit around in this for the next 70 years, eating the mutated fish, drinking the tainted water, watching the fetid reality shit on TV, create a nation of malignant imaginations? It's us, all right? It's young people. It's who has to sit around in this rancid bathwater, twiddling our thumbs and flicking our ding-dongs and going, remember back when we could have changed things? We should have, like, done something. And our kids are going to ask us, where were you when we could have changed them? They'd gone a different path. And what are you going to say? Well, there was this video game where you slingshot these birds at these towers, and I got pretty good. Hey, guys, I'm Lee Camp. Enjoy the rest of your moments here. I'd love to keep in touch. I'm at leecamp.net.